Another drug dog goes by, nothing happens. Another drug dog goes by, nothing happens. And I'm like, wait. First of all, a lot of drug dogs for the tiniest airport. Second of all of a sudden I'm like, wait, maybe I don't have a bag full of drugs.
Rise up, break the cage, be the lion, be the storm, be the strike of the lightning. Rise with the dawn.
Welcome to episode 4 of From Scratch. I'm Alana Moore. I am your host. I am so excited that you guys are here for episode 4. This is so cool for me. Listen, before we get started, I just want to ask y'all for your love and support, because that is the way that we can, go through this together and get this podcast into the hands of anybody that is going through a time in their life where they're rebuilding from nothing and, hopefully be able to reach their heart. So if you like this podcast, or if you don't, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments how you feel. Hit that subscribe button. You all know that is the thing that really helps to push this. So hit that subscribe button, share this with your friends, share this with 5 friends right now that could really hear, a story of hope and redemption. And let's get into it. So here's the thing, y'all. I just want to say this to you before we get started. I feel like I'm so serious in these podcasts so far. But I just want to tell you, I was saying this to someone today. I feel like it's going to take a little bit of time for me to warm up to the audience, and for you guys to warm up to me. And, as this moves along, we will have Q&A sessions. We're going to bring in experts in the field of, of anything that I feel can really be a help in rebuilding anybody's life, And so I'm going to also try a little bit more to bring more of my personality to this episode. But if you were here for episode 3, you know where we are starting off from. And I think it's it has to be a little bit serious, But we started from, I've just spent the week in Panama. And it is my last day at the hotel. And it's so interesting because that last day, I really knew that something wasn't right. I knew it in my gut. There had been many messages that I believe were, sent maybe from God to an angel, to someone's heart, to my ears. But at the end of the day, as I say almost every episode, I and everyone has free will. Which means that even when the right decision is presented to me, which means the decision with lesser consequences that are not going to be so detrimental to my life, there is always a choice in this world that can cause detriment to our lives. And we have the responsibility and the blessing of that responsibility, right, to be able to make our own choices. So it's the last day in Panama. I feel in my gut that something is going on, and all I keep hearing in my head is call your dad. Call your dad. Call your dad. And I couldn't. I was so shameful. I just knew. I had walked out of that room. It was so back heavy. I knew it was full of drugs. What was I going to do? I want you guys to really think about that for a second. What would you have called and said to your parents? And especially me being sort of the black sheep, it was kind of expected of me. I was thinking about this the other day. I saw my my yearbook from grade 11. I went to private school. I only lasted 2 years before they kicked my ass out of there. But I was, they have most likely to get their PhD, and most likely to be a successful entrepreneur, and most likely to have a Fortune 500 company. Mine was, I bet you could guess it, dun, 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 most likely to become a troublemaker. And man, were they right. Shout out to Mr. Anderson, who always tried to help me but was never successful, because I definitely was that. I lived up to that name, Maybe I could just blame y'all for it. Nah, it's okay. I won't. But so, I was in that moment what am I going to call and tell my dad? Hey, Dad. I think I have a bag full of drugs. I couldn't just leave it. I felt obligated. What was I going to do? Was I going to call the girl and be like, hey, we left it here? They're probably going to send people to kill me. There was no logic in anything that I was doing. I was just moving with fear, you know? So we spend the day in the hotel. I'm drinking the whole time, obviously. You know, I'm sitting beside the guy that sent me there's best friend, and she's talking about him in such a beautiful light. And I'm like, skirt, do you really know what he does? You know, it was just so interesting. Sorry, y'all. I'm still getting over this cold. So it's time for us to leave. It's time to go to the airport. And it's so interesting. The girl that I was there with that day, she was going through it too. We avoided each other the whole day. We both knew we were getting into something that was not right. Neither one of us spoke about that. Neither one of us came to each other to be like, hey, I don't feel good about this. I don't think we should do it. I know that she didn't come to me because she felt like I was more of the leader in our friendship, and she felt like I would have talked her out of it, or, you know, that she just couldn't come to me with that. She didn't feel like she could trust me with that because I would have, maybe she felt like I would have bullied her into doing it, you know, and maybe I would have, because I felt like I had to do it at that point. That's crazy, y'all. So all of our bags have been in a room, like, you know, a holding room. You guys know, for those of you that have been on these vacations. So we walk out, we get on the bus. I still have videos on my phone that I got back years later of me going to the airport. It's a small airport. I'm in a place in Panama called Panama, which is where I ended up being in prison anyways. And we get to this tiny little airport. I get off the bus and I'm sick to my stomach. At that time, I smoked cigarettes. Sorry, Dad. My dad hates that. So I get off the bus and I'm just trying to buy time, because the visuals in my head, y'all, if you could be in my head right now, is like I was about to get ripped to shreds by drug dogs. Like I was going to have my arm ripped off. Like there was going to be armed officers like coming at me, dragging me by the legs, like me begging for them to let me go. So I was like, all right, let me buy some more time. So I remember I sit in the parking lot on the curb. I have my bag. I smoke a cigarette and I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's go. It's time. So like a little mini G, I get up. And we get to the front. We see this one couple that we had seen in the beginning, but they actually took off and went to Panama City for a few days and then came back. And so we were chatting with them, and we go inside, and literally the only people that are in line is, you know, our group that was on the bus. So we go in, we get in line, and I'm trying to play it cool. I know I'm lying. I know I'm doing something wrong. So I'm overcompensating, right? I'm trying to like make sure I'm looking around, and I'm looking at my phone, which, mind you, the screen is broken, so I can't see nothing. I'm trying to make conversation with people, and I'm talking to this girl in front of me, and I have my bag with me, and I see out of the left side of my eye, because there's only one place to check in, I see the drug dogs. Sorry, I see a drug dog with, you know, the person that's walking them. But they're dressed normal. They're not dressed in like uniform or anything like that. Oh, when I tell you, like my whole body clenched up, but I had to keep my face calm, right? It was like, keep it cool, keep it cool, keep it cool. And my whole body is clenching, right? And there's, I want to say 15 of us in line. So I see them like, you know, they kind of like cut through the line and then they come back every like, you know, 2 or 3 people or whatever. And they come back this way and they come around and I'm like, it's ready to happen. And the drug dog goes in front of my bag and then it walks by and then nothing happens. And I'm like, wait, what is going on? What just happened? I have a bag full of drugs. Why is this drug dog not reacting to my bag full of drugs? So then I see another drug dog, different drug dog, come by, goes by our bag, saluda, hola. I don't speak Spanish at this time, you guys. The only words I know are cerveza, tequila, gracias. Okay, so and hola. Hola. They go by, nothing happens. I want to say there was like, I always, in my story, it might shift a little. It was like 4 or 6 drug dogs. Like I remember it was 4 or 6. Another drug dog goes by, nothing happens. Another drug dog goes by, nothing happens. And I'm like, wait. First of all, a lot of drug dogs for the tiniest airport. Second of all of a sudden I'm like, wait, maybe I don't have a bag full of drugs. And all of a sudden, like the knot in my stomach kind of dissipates. I sort of get this like, you know, when something like goes well and you're like, okay. So I sort of get this newfound energy. I'm like, okay, I'm okay. So we get up to the front and I check in my bag, or I'm checking in my bag, and the girl that I'm with is checking in her bag. And I remember I looked to the right, and the guy who sent me on the vacation, whose best friend was also on that vacation, was beside me over here on the ground, hysterical and panicking, with her bag open, and she's rummaging through her bag trying to find her passport. Now, y'all, it's just a couple, this is kind of another red flag for me. There's a lot of red flags in this if you haven't noticed. So I'm like, wait a second. For somebody that travels a lot, you know, if you've traveled, the thing that you could leave the house with nothing, but you have checked 18 times since you ordered that Uber to make sure that your passport is still in the same place where you left it, in the same place where you put it every single time. So I thought that was super weird. So we check our bags in, we go through security. Security's fine. We go through, it's just one big waiting room. The waiting room is surrounded with these men in green, like full army outfits with shotguns. I think they're shotguns. I don't know. You guys probably know. Are they AK-47s? I don't know. Some big long gun that goes across their bodies. Okay. Probably not an AK-47. That sounds kind of dramatic. Some kind of gun. Boom. They're all around. I'm also going to say this. Someone's going to be rolling their eyes at me, but I love a man in uniform, so I was not upset. Anyways, moving on. Focus. So we go in the back. We sit down. We're with our friend Tara that I told you about in the beginning. We're with her. We're chatting. All of a sudden, they mention the girl that I'm sitting beside. They say her name. So-and-so. I got to come up with a name for her. Chanel, can you come to the front? So she goes to the front and my stomach is like, whoom. It all comes back. And I'm so nervous. I can't even breathe. But I'm also trying to play it cool because I'm here with the girl. But I know that we're up to something. But she doesn't know that we're up to something. So she leaves. I don't know where she goes. All of a sudden she comes back and she's kind of panicking. I'm like, what's up? She goes, they want to look through my bag. And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah. So she's looking for her key just to buy time. She had the key on her the whole time. So as soon as she leaves, I get up and I go to the bathroom and I'm calling the girl who I worked for who sent me on this vacation as well. I call her 39 times and she does not answer me. Mind you, she knows that today is D-Day. She knows what's guaning right now. She does not answer the phone. So I start shaking. My hands are shaking and I can't stop. So I'm like, okay, my mouth is wet. It's starting to happen right now. I'm like short of breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I'm like, I got to do something. So I've called her. She doesn't answer. Put my phone away. I walk out of the bathroom and there's a vending machine right there. And remember, there's all these officers around. So I'm trying to play it cool. So I buy 2 bags of Doritos. I'm panicking because I'm like, I have to do something with my hands. So my hands are shaking, but I'm like, okay, I do the thing and I'm like pretending and I'm just like, doo-doo-doo. The bags come down. I grab them. I open the one bag. I have the other bag in my hand, like in my pinky here. I have the other bag open and I just have my hand inside, right? And I'm like, I eat it quickly and I just kind of keep my hand inside and I walk back to where I'm sitting. And right then I see out of the corner of my eye, this big, he was like just, to me, he seemed huge, but he was just like a big, heavy set man with these armed police officers behind him. And he goes, Alana Moore? And I go, yeah. He goes, come with me. And I'm like, okay. So we go with them, okay? Or I go with them. And I turn around. I don't say anything to the girl, our friend Tara that was there. I walk towards the back. I don't even remember. I'm sure that people were staring at me because, hello, I'm just walking behind 2 armed officers and this giant heavy-set man who's like tough. And it's on the left-hand side of this big open building or this big, open room. He opens one door that leads to the actual outside. And I see there that there's one of the suitcases with a big white circle and an X on it. And then right away, he opens another door that leads back into that building, but a different section, like behind the scenes security. And it's got the security belt that the suitcases go on. And the other suitcase is open on the security belt with the stuff spewed everywhere. I remember I saw an officer in green over to the left by the stuff. And I looked to the right, and this big, heavy-set man is yelling at me in Spanish. Now, I don't speak Spanish, but at the time, he's like, ¿Dónde sacaste esas bolsas? ¿De dónde compraste esa maleta? Son tuyas. And I'm like, and so at that time, I don't understand. It sounds like this. There's a girl beside him that is translating, and she's like, where did you get these bags? And he's yelling at me, and there's 2 officers behind him, but it's just chaos. There's people everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know. These aren't my bags. We bought them in Panama. I don't know. And he's like, they're yours. Son tuyas. ¿Qué tienen adentro? ¿Qué tienen adentro? What do they have inside? What do they have inside? And the girl's like, what do they have inside? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, sígueme. Venga conmigo. He's like, come. And she's like, okay, come with us. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, my whole body right now is sweating. I'm sweating, y'all. I am sweating. I am nervous. I'm panicking. I'm like, what is going on? So I follow him. The girl that I'm with is beside me. And we walk for probably, I don't know, 200 meters. And to the left, they open this door, and it's this tiny little room that's probably 200 square feet. And it's lined with 3 chairs. Like when you walk in, the back is lined with 3 chairs. There's another chair against the right-hand wall. And then on the left-hand side, there's sort of like a longer table. So I sit in one of the chairs, and they just leave us there for 5 hours. And there's 2 officers that are standing at the door on the inside just staring at us. The girl that I'm with is like kind of keeping her cool, has her Bible, is like reading her Bible. I'm panicking, crying, and I'm like, it's over. And she's like, shut up. And I'm crying. I'm like, it's done. It's over. Like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, what do we do? Da-da-da. The 2 officers are standing there now. Let me tell you something about the po-po. They can be real piggish. Like, these guys were like grabbing their crotches, winking at us, just being like real gross and dirty. And of course, I'm like, what is about to happen to us? So we sit there for 5 hours. The only break that I got was at one point I asked the girl, she was there, the translator, and I was like, what about our stuff that was left out there? So she brought, and I kept being like, are we going to get on our flight tonight, or are we going to have to get on a plane tomorrow? Like, not knowing really what was happening. It's like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the prison delusion. You're just like trying to talk yourself into freedom at any cost, right? And that happened to me for a long time. So she walks me out to the left and takes me back out to where I checked in. She doesn't take me the other way, the way they brought me in, the place that I checked into my flight. Now, there are people that checked me in still there, just like staring at me. There's nobody else there because that was the last flight out, but some of the employees were still there. So she walks me to get my bag and get my jacket. And then I think I went to the bathroom, and then we sit down. So we're there for 5 hours. Okay. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It might have been even longer. Finally, hours later, I've definitely sobered up, but I'm like delusional. I have a brutal headache. My head is pounding. I've cried a lot of tears. And this woman in a white hat, she's like a shorter Panamanian woman, walks in with this guy who is, he's Jamaican Panamanian, but he lived in the US for years. So he speaks perfect English, but he also speaks Spanish. So he's a translator. Okay. I'm giving you guys the visuals. And with them come in like, I don't know, another guy. There was like 4 or 5 people with them. So I now know that was the prosecutor. Okay. And so we sit there and basically they go over, like, he is translating, but he, not more or less, he says, the best thing you can do right now is cooperate. The best thing you can do right now is anything that we need you to do, you do. Now, keep in mind, even though people have said the opposite, I am no kingpin. I have not been in the drug game. I have never done this before. I am not a gangster. I'm not a G. I know nothing. Okay. And I'm also super tired, super like sad, overwhelmed. And I'm just like, anything I got to do, I'll do. So before anything happens, they ask us to sign paperwork. Now, the cardinal rule is never sign anything. But the way this man was talking to me of like, the best thing you can do right now is sign. I remember he said that. That's the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can do is cooperate. So I signed. I signed whatever they needed me to sign. And what I was signing was saying that all of the components that are in the bag that they are still have not opened, that they are about to open, are mine. So we later find out that there's a ton of flaws in the way that they executed the whole arrest and that there was enough grounds for my case to be dismissed. But I signed myself as guilty before I did anything else. Now, no, I did not get asked if I wanted a lawyer. This is a banana republic. They do not care. You are guilty before you are proven innocent in Panama. So they didn't offer me a lawyer. They didn't offer me to call the embassy. They didn't offer me to call anybody. They did not care. They needed to put me in jail. Mind you, I also don't speak the language, so I'm just panicking. I'm signing. So from there, they explain that what they're going to do is go through the bags, and then from there, we will be detained. Regardless, even if it's baking soda, which, let me tell you. Anyways, we'll get there. So I'm crying. I'm sad. They take the first suitcase. So in this tiny little room, I'm sitting there. The prosecutor's beside me, the translator's beside her, and then the girl that I was with is like directly across from me. There's like another gentleman here. That big guy that I told you about is there too. Then there's 2 armed officers, and then the one officer that I saw when I first came into the back, he's standing right beside me. I don't know why, but I felt safe with him. It was weird. I had that with some people. So they put the first suitcase down. Okay. So they lay it on its back, they unzip it, and they open it. So now it's butterfly. Okay. You got the visual. It's open fully. So one side, when you unzip it, are my clothes. The other side, when you unzip it, it's like this this satin lining that you open up, and behind are like the bones of the handle of the suitcase. Got it? So that side, they unzip. Okay? So they unzip that satin piece, they open it. underneath that is this black plastic that has been cut to the size of the suitcase. It's just a black plastic square. They pull that out. From there is foam insulation. Okay, so it just looks like hard white foam. So they sort of like pick that away, they pull it out, they get it out. Underneath that is a thick layer of oil or grease, which I now know is what protects or stops the drug dogs from being able to smell the drugs. Okay, so they cleared that off. And then underneath, there are these vacuum sealed squares that are vacuum sealed with plastic, but they're covered in stickers. Okay, there's 11 of them in my bag. There's 11 of them in my bag. They take one, they like cut it like you see in the movies. This is like it is in the movies. They cut it, they open it. It's a white powder. And man, first of all, I had never seen that in my life. That was my first time seeing it. And it was exactly what I thought it was. And it was exactly what the guy I was dating told me it was. And it was, my choice to be there. Like Uncle Scott had told me, we all have choices. And all these things are going through my head. And there's like nothing I can do at this point, So I cry. They do the same thing, for lack of taking you through it again. They do the same thing with the other bag. They find 8 squares in that bag. They take all of our things. They shove them into a clear plastic bag. From then, they bring in a female police officer to strip search us. Now, what's been explained to us is that you are going to be detained because what we think is that there is an illegal substance in this bag. We can't prove it, but we need to do a series of tests before we can let you go. So you will be handcuffed, you will leave here, and you will go to where you're going. That's how it was explained. It was not explained in any other way but that. So they take me into this like back corner. It was sort of like it seemed like a closet in this room where I was strip searched for the first time. I don't need to get into those details. We'll get into more details later. But, I had to take off all of my clothes. She had to inspect all of my personal areas. She had to make sure I didn't have any paraphernalia on me. It was humiliating, of course. It was humiliating, you guys. I was handcuffed in the front and we were escorted out. And the guy that was there was just like, hey, you guys are going to be okay. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure of it. Like, da-da-da-da. And I was like, man, shut up. Like, I never trust that man. Now I definitely don't trust him because this man made me sign my life away. Like, but you're going to make sure I'm okay. So we get handcuffed. They lead us back out. And it's like the shame I felt, y'all. Seeing the employees that probably had to stay after work because, they need to make sure that nobody else was, involved in this. I find out later they pulled the girl that we were with off of the plane, strip searched her, went through her bags, treated her like absolute crap, put her back on the plane. She got to go home. But like, can you imagine how many lives were affected because of this? It's like, this was not just me. I know that. So all these employees probably had to stay for another I just get a little crazy. For another 5 hours after work, or like 7 by the time this whole thing was done. It was 2 a.m. by the time I left there. Our flight was at 5. So you can imagine how many hours we were there. So they lead us outside and there is like an old school, I want to say like 1980s, like mid-rise white pickup truck police car. Okay. So, these still have like the push locks, like the wind down windows. Like it's like Ancient. Now, mind you, I know nothing outside of this hotel. Okay. I know nothing, nor do I speak a word, a lick of Spanish. So after this, after the translator left, I was on my own. So they wait, was I ankle shackled? Yeah, I was ankle shackled. No, I wasn't ankle shackled. That's a lie. I wasn't ankle shackled. I was not ankle shackled yet. We're going to get there. So they put me in the back of the car. Now, I don't know why, but all of my instincts came clear. It was two men that were driving us. And I just remember hearing stories and I was like, oh, they're going to rape us for sure. For sure they're going to rape us. Like, there's no one here. There's no cameras in these police cars. Like, this is a rickety old truck. Where are we going? Where are we going? We are in the middle of Panama. Where are we going? So I rig, like they didn't put on my handcuffs very tight. So I realized that I can pull both of my hands out of the handcuffs. And I grab it. I pull my hand out of one of them and I basically wrap my hand around it so that if I have to fight or do anything, I can just pull my other hand out and I can beat somebody with the metal. Okay. This is what's going on in my head at this time. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm okay. But I don't want them to see. So I keep one on, but I realize it's really easy. So I'm like, it could be quick. And I'm like, I'm going to hold on to the lock on the door. I had done this once before in my life when we got in a car with two strange men that really actually did try to take us to somewhere and hurt us. And we ended up having to jump out of the car. So I knew this because of my bad decisions in my past. So the other girl is not talking to me. She has every reason not to. So I have half my hand out. Okay. I have half my hand out and I'm holding on to the lock and I'm just waiting. Like if they try to do anything or, I don't know. I was just like, I'll open the door and I'll roll out and I'll just run. Like I didn't know. I was in fight or flight mode. And basically fight or flight didn't ever go away after that. And I was living on pure adrenaline. So we're driving for what seems like forever. It's so interesting how well I get to know this town that I go into after. But we pull up and at this time it's like 4 a.m. So it's like the sun is, so that right when the sun is about to come out, that's what's happening. So I've been up forever now, but I've been up for 24 hours almost, or maybe I have. And so they take us out and we go inside and look up Panama in Panama. Like it's like going back in time. It's old school. Everything is cement. The smells are weird. I don't know anything. The uniforms are old school. The people I don't recognize because I've never been around people like this. Like I'm just in this like shock. It's like I've entered into this new world and my body is just in shock. Like I felt sick. So they take us inside and I walk into this cement waiting room, which I know now is the police station and is this waiting room. So there's a TV here, along here there's seats, along the back there's seats. The windows in Panama are super weird. It's basically just a cutout in the cement with these like designs and that's the window. Like flower designs and the petals are where the holes are. Does that make sense? So it's a square like that. Excuse me, y'all. And then in front, it's sort of like you would walk up and the desk is at sort of like nose or chin level. And behind there's like tiered seating and that's where the police officers go. Okay. It's super weird. And so they just go, dale. Like nobody can speak to us. So we sit down. Okay, I also want you guys to have this visual in your head. It is February, which means it is the middle of winter in Toronto. I am dressed in men's thick maroon Adidas joggers cinched at the bottom with a zipper. I'm in a thick white t-shirt, and I'm in a thick cropped leather jacket. It was a cute outfit, I must say. But that's my outfit with sneakers, socks. And in February in Panama, it is the dead of summer. So it is hot every day and every night. Okay. So we sit down, and that's when the ankle shackles come out. So I'm sitting in the chair with my feet down and my arms, and they shackle me to the arms of the chairs. So here and here, so I can't move. And they shackle my ankles with my legs open, of course, to either side. So I am fully shackled in the chair. I cannot move. Okay? And that is where I spend the next 3 days. So for the next 3 days, there's so much to see, because this is the next morning, which was, then when I got there, there's movement, right? The prosecutors are in and out. The police are in and out. They're looking at us. There's this these two gringas. We're sitting there in our winter clothes, so sweaty, just overwhelmed. But then I also start seeing, and I realize it's a men's prison. And so we were at the men's prison. So they were in the back. So we're sitting there, and a lot of really weird things happened. But we had no toilet paper for 3 days, no shower, no toothbrush. We were given one bottle of water. One of the police officers bought us a Coca-Cola. And the men in the back heard that we were there, and they sent us out food in 3 days. I remember on that first day, I was sitting there, and this guy came and sat down beside me, and he was this judge from France. And he was speaking to me in French, and somehow all of my French came back to me. And he was telling me what I needed to do, what I shouldn't do, how I should protect myself, this and that. So that really helped me. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for putting me in French immersion, because that conversation really helped me. So that happened. Then I remember at that time, the girl and I, we had been talking a lot, figuring out what our story is, right? Because honesty was not on the table at that point. We had made up a story of what we were going to say. We went to Panama City. We bought these suitcases. We didn't know they had stuff in them. And of course, we are praying that what we saw in those suitcases was baking powder. That would have been nice. Well, actually, then there wouldn't be a podcast. So you're welcome. So we're doing that. I remember the prosecutor comes out one day. I was a little stealth on this one. So a couple things happened. They were like, hey, you can make one phone call to somebody in your family. The embassy called us. I got on the phone with the embassy. I'm crying. The embassy's like, if you don't stop crying, we're not going to be able to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, you can make one phone call. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody's phone number. Yeah, right. Yes, I did. And they were like, okay, what do you, I said, can you get them to give me my phone and I can go through my phone? So they did. So they brought my phone out. Two things happened at that moment. First, they came out and they were like, can you guys sign right here? And I was like, no. And guess what? They walked right away. So that showed me right there that I never had to sign anything, right? And if I was a real gangster, y'all, I would not have signed anything. I would have known. But at that point, I was like, I'm not signing anything else. So they came out that one time. They asked me to sign. I was like, no, I'm not signing. So they left. They brought me my phone. I turned my phone on and I held my phone towards me. And I pretended that I was going through and finding numbers. But you know what I was doing? I was deleting apps. I was deleting Snapchat. I was deleting Instagram. I was deleting WhatsApp. I was deleting all my text messages. I was deleting contacts out of my phone. Everything. I was like, oh yeah, there's the number. Gave the phone back. Went, made the phone call, called my birth mom. Now, the reason that I called my birth mom was two things. My father, who's the person that I wanted to talk to from the beginning, I'm his only child. I am the light of his life. And I think it would have destroyed him if he would have known at that moment. He also at the time was in Arizona and I didn't have his number. So I couldn't call him. It's probably a good thing I didn't. My birth mom, she's a little more logical, right? She's been in my life since I was 19. We're more of like, we have like a really good friendship, right? So that, I don't want to say that maternal instinct isn't there. That maternal instinct is there, but she knows how to, we just get each other, right? We deal with those types of situations differently, right? So it was actually a good thing that I was able to talk to her. There was no way I was calling my mom. My mother, like my mom was so strict with me growing up. That was the last one. I was so afraid for her to find out. So anyways, I call my birth mom, 604-319-8555. It's not her number anymore, so I could say it. I knew that number off by heart. This woman does not answer the phone. So I left her a message. Like, can you imagine going, oh, I've got one voicemail, and you listen to your voicemail and it's your first daughter that you've given up for adoption. So you already have enough guilt around that as it is. And you go, and she goes, hey, Ma, I'm in prison. Like, I don't even remember what I said, but it was probably somewhat like, hey, something's happened. I'm in prison. I'm not coming home. Or like something like that, you know, the poor woman. So I leave her a message. I sit down. Same thing happens with the other girl. And we just literally, you guys, we sit there for 3 days. On for 2 nights, we sat sitting up, shackled. On the third night, they were bringing in so many people from the streets, and that's where they would put them if they would like pick up drunk drivers or like people that they were arresting or things like that. They put them in there. So they took us, and right over in the corner, there was a little hallway where the officers would go into their like snack room. So they put a mattress on the floor. They had us ankle shackled and wrist shackled. They laid us both down on one mattress. And that's where we slept for the night in like pure white fluorescent lighting. I remember killing spiders. There were spiders down there. And officers, when they needed to go into the snack room, they would just step over us. It was so humiliating. They would just step over us and go into the snack room. We probably had a lot of toilet paper. So yeah, so that's how that went. So the next day we get up. And somehow they tell us that we are going to court. So we go to court. There is a translator there that is, bless her heart, she was horrible. I could not understand a word. At one point, she was saying something about carpets. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I couldn't understand her. So I remember sitting in, and like I spent a lot of time in those courtrooms. Like, I met people to this day that work at those courtrooms that still message me to see how I'm doing. Like there was this one guy, Omar, the day we showed up, he messaged me 3 days ago. And the day we showed up, like he just was always there, always bringing us water. It's going to make me cry. Bringing us water, like bringing us snacks, making sure we were okay. He just had this like soft spot for us. People were really nice to us, even though, you know, we had done this crime. So I remember we got there and I got used to this. I got really used to the program. We would pull up. So it was, these trucks were like these backless trucks. It was like these pickup trucks that had these like domes over, and that's where you would sit facing each other, looking back, and that's the road. So we would get off of that. This guy that I knew for 4.5 years would come out and say, hey, how you doing? Good. Okay. In the beginning, I couldn't understand him. By the end, we were conversing. And we would walk through this dark room. It's sort of like dark hallway where the hallway was just like stacked with those big like 25-liter water bottles for the water, like those dispensers, and books on the one side. We would go into this back room where they would open up. We go, hey, and then the guy would let us in and he'd open up another door and we go in and there were 2 holding cells. Typically there were men in the left one and they would put us in the right one. So they would put us in there. We would be ankle shackled and wrist shackled. When we would get in there, they would take them off. Then when it was time for us to go, they would open that door. We would come out. We'd open a door into this big open room where there were like 45 people that worked at this office. So you would have to walk by them with your head down every single time. Every single time. By the end, every single one of them knew who I was by name. And I remember that first day that we were there and Omar made sure we were good, brought us water. We go in, we go to court. There's 11 kilos of cocaine in my bag and 8 kilos of cocaine in the other girl's bag. And I was sentenced to 6 months of investigation. No parole, couldn't get out of it. There's nothing I could do. So 6 months of investigation, I would be going to prison the next day. I remember the one thing that I said to the translator, I was like, hey, can you ask him if we can take a shower? I was so humiliated because that day when they came to unshackle me from the chair to take us to court, the officer was gagging because I was in these clothes. I hadn't wiped in days, but I had gone to the bathroom. Everything that you do when you go to the bathroom, and had to wipe with my hand or wipe with nothing. Had been sweating. Obviously, the stress makes you sweat more. You know, it was disgusting. And he was gagging, like holding his face, unlocking the shackles on the bottom and unlocking my arm shackles. It was humiliating. It was humiliating. Sorry, y'all. So we go and I ask her, I was like, hey, can you ask him if we could at least take a shower? And he said, yeah. So she said, first you have to go to the hospital and you have to get tested for HIV and for pregnancy. And I was like, well, I guess we'll see. So we got shackled again, ankle shackled, wrist shackled, go out, taken back through that loop, right? Through the courtroom, through the big open room with all the people, back into the holding cell, sit in the holding cell, wait for the car to come. When the car comes, they take us out of the holding cell. They walk us down that long hallway with all the bottles and all the books and all the dust. The guy says bye. The officer helps me to get into the back of this truck with no seatbelts. We're sitting in an open air truck. We go to the hospital. The hospital is horrible there, y'all. Like, there's no toilet paper in the bathrooms. There's no soap. It's a very run down hospital. And it was humiliating. There were kids, there were families. I was ankle shackled and wrist shackled. I was this white girl in the middle of Panama. I smelled so bad. I was in winter clothes. I had to like shuffle. It was the same thing. We'd show up, security would come, we would come off, but we would have to sit with the general population, right? So I remember sitting there, everyone staring at me, just feeling so much shame, so mad at myself. And it was like, okay. So we went in, got the HIV test. It was negative. Got a pregnancy test. It was negative. Waited there for a while. Went back to the place where they were holding us, and they took us in our shackles. I remember it's starting to get dark. They took us outside and they took us to this other spot, which is like a open kind of bathroom. It's cement. It was an open bathroom with a shower and like a bench to change. And they didn't let us use the shower. They took a hose and stuck a hose through. Remember I told you guys how the windows there are like cement and the flowers are where the holes are to the outdoors. They shoved a hose through. And they let us shower. Now, the thing is that I only brought clothes to be on a beach. So I had nothing to change into. So I had to go right back into the clothes that I was wearing, which was horrible. It was horrible. And showered. That was great. It was like so nice. I was just like crying. I just couldn't believe I was sort of in shock. I get dressed. I was able to at least change my socks and my underwear. So that was, I think I changed my socks, my underwear, and my shirt. But I had to wear the same pants. Took my leather jacket off. Didn't wear that anymore. And, you know, those pants were filthy, y'all. It was nasty. And the officers were 2 females. So they actually unhooked our shackles and let us walk back without any shackles. And I remember we went in, we sat down, we had our bags of clothes, which was like, you know, a bikini. Like, what was I going to freaking wear? I wasn't planning on going to prison. And so I remember trying to communicate with the officer of like, is it a big jail or a little jail? Is it a scary jail or a good jail? Like I'm a very visual person. I needed a visual of where I was going. And he was like, no, it's pequeño. It's good. It's suave. Suave. It's okay. So they took the bag of clothes away. They shackled us back. Oh no, they hadn't shackled us yet. I remember I sat in the chair and I looked up and I saw the moon. And this is crazy, but that was the last time I saw the moon for years. Wow, this is crazy. That was the last time I saw the moon for years. And I remember I was singing this song. I'm not going to sing it for y'all, even though I do have a good voice. But there's this song called Stand By Me. And they probably thought I was crazy, but I was already looking crazy. But I was singing Stand By Me. And I was just sitting there singing Stand By Me, staring at the moon, being like, God, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what I've done, but I'm so sorry. I felt horrible. You know, that was a hard weight to carry. So we did spend another night in that sort of like holding place with the officers. And by that time, they knew us all by name. Like they felt like family. I felt a little bit safe there. I didn't really sleep that night. Sleeping sitting up while your ankle's shackled and wrist shackled is not easy. But the next morning, it was D-Day. And I remember they came and they got us and they took us, same thing, into the back of that truck that I was telling you about. We were sitting, and this is where we're going to end episode 4, y'all. But the drive to prison was so long. And all I was thinking about was the fact that I was going to have to fight for my life and fight not to be someone's girlfriend. Because I did not want to be a lesbian in jail. So I was just like, okay, we're going to get out and they're going to throw us into this circle and I'm going to have to fight someone and I'm going to have to say, no, I'm not going to be your girlfriend. The way I was looking, I don't think anybody wanted to claim me. But I was just like, kind of in panic mode. And I remember the girl, she was like, you need to calm down. We're fine. And the officers were like, it's okay. And I was like, no, I'm freaking out. Like, I want to go home. And then we turned down this dirt road. And this dirt road is a kilometer long. And it's interesting because today I did this exercise. I was doing some like work through some of my trauma that I'm realizing that I have. I didn't think I had any trauma, but I do. And it was like, I want you to go back to the time that you felt the most grateful. The first thing that comes to your mind. And the first thing that came to my mind was the day that I got out of prison, driving down that dirt road. But I will never forget the fear that I felt the day that I entered prison and I had to drive down that dirt road into what could have been 12, what could have been 20 years in prison, or what could have been the end of my life because I did not know what I was walking into. And let me tell you, overnight success did not matter anymore at that moment. And that is when I was really looking to God, like, God, please save me, please protect me, please make sure that we're okay. Like, don't let me die. I think that was the thing I kept saying. God, please don't let me die. 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 I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I didn't die. So I'm still here. So if that's not enough, I don't know what is. So I just want to say, if you're still here, thank you for being here. I really, really hope that you know that it's not just going to be this heavy the whole time. You know, in order for this podcast to go where it needs to go, we have to get into the nitty gritty of how I got to where I am today. And it's not easy. It's worth it. It's not easy. It's worth it. And I hope that you got a good visual of like what it took for me to get to the front of this prison, Llano Marin in Panama. And, if you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Let me know what we could do. Leave comments. Share this with your friends. Share this with somebody that really is going through a tough time right now, right? Because they always say if you want to feel better, like feel some hope, it's like sit down with someone and just ask them how they're doing and what they're going through. And you'll realize like, oh, someone else has gone through it or gone through it worse, right? And subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I love y'all. Next week, we're going to get into what it was like living in Llano Marin, Panama. Thanks for staying for episode 4. I love you. Bye.